Battle Brothers and Long War veterans alike, Juice here kicking it with a full GSC breakdown. Genestealer cult, that is. A couple things I'm going to go over today, not just how amazing the entire army is, but I'm going to talk about key points, what the army is going to look like, what it's going to consist of, how it can even be potentially sprinkled into other existing armies. We're going to talk about, first off, jumping right into this shit. Jumping into how GSC is going to be deployed. First, when you do this, when you build your army, you're going to need to know what units you're going to want to reserve, right? Come out of the shadows, okay? That's AKA going underground, going into full-on reserve. Underground is the actual terminology, right? That's your army is in deep strike. I show them 9 inches away from you. Then, Cult Ambush, the new verbiage right now, Cult Ambush is saying that instead of deploying the unit right now on the board during the deployment phase, I can put a token down. Now, if you buy this book from GW, right, or any one of their counterparts, if you buy a real paper copy, it comes with an entire sheet. I believe it's got 28 tokens on them, about the size of a quarter. They're blips. They're really cool. Right, so and it's a new mechanic. I've played about 30 plus games with GSC now. I am to the point where this blip game is dumb to me. I'm gonna reserve 1,000 points, okay, and then I'm going to put out my mortars. I'm just gonna put out. I'm not gonna blip them. I don't care. The opponent can see that my mortar teams are gonna go here. My Brood Brother mortars are gonna go here. Right, I could just as easily put blips down, but it's a waste of time. Don't even bother with it, okay? Now, one thing that I definitely do is I will throw 3 blips down, 4 blips maybe. Maybe those are my expensive units. Maybe my 20-man rock saw units, my bike, 250-point bike units, right? The Jackals. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3 of those blips down. I'm going to reserve 1,000 points. I'm going to put 3 total blips, Cult Ambush markers, on the board at my beginning of my first deployment phase, or at the end of my opponent's first movement phase, whichever comes first. If I go first after deploying, I have the top of turn 1. Immediately stop what you're doing and start putting out your blip tokens. Replacing a token, follow the rule, aka pick up a token. You have to now put the model or models, the first model that you place from this unit has got to be within 1 inch of the marker. Now, the rest of the unit, if it is that, can be deployed up to 6 inches from the original marker. Cannot go further than that. So what I'm finding a lot of good tacticalness is it allows me to reserve 1,000 points of my army, a bunch of my small characters, my MSU, my things like this, right? Then what I'm going to do is, again, my 3 really expensive units, I am going to put those in blips, and then turn 1, I'm going to spend 1 CP, and we're going to get to those stratagems here in a minute, but I'm going to spend a CP and potentially take all 3 of those blips and put them underground so they can arrive later. Either way, I know that I'm kind of giving a lot of information, but I feel like most of the people who are watching this have, if they're GSC players, A, they already have the book, B, they have gotten in games or they've listened to a lot of other people go in, right? So I am going to go into my opinions, what I've seen in playtesting and things like that, but I'm also going to talk a little more advanced, right? A little more than just reading what verbatim out of the book. Okay. Couple things that we need to note, okay? A, do not try to perfect ambush turn 1. That's it. That's not right. Also, perfect ambush is a stratagem that we're going to talk about. You can't do that. And also, when you deploy your blips, one thing I do like about this is if you are going second, it keeps people, you cannot move within 9 inches of a blip of one of your tokens. This is a very powerful stratagem, especially when you roll something like the table quarters, right? And there's only an 18-inch gap. Some bikes can move 14 inches. You've got flyers. You have things like that. Against those matchups, I really like putting these blips out. Within my deployment zone, they have to stay, but I can interact with my opponent by saying, get away from me. I have a 9-inch L. surrounding my entire employment zone, right, with little MSU units that are going to pop up that are really going to keep them back if I don't want them on me turn one. The blip game is really cool, but again, this what I'm about to say is specifically for GSC players. Do not get caught up in the hype. Realize that if you are playing and time is of the essence, maybe you're just kicking it in your Beats lab or having some people over and having a friendly game that you don't care if it takes 5 hours, cool, do what you will. Drink beer, high five, get your blip on. All you tournament players, don't get it twisted. It's wasting time, right? Don't confuse the tacticalness of blipping your entire army versus how slow it's going to make you. At the end of the day, you can be so tactical, but if you time out on 3 and your opponent's still got 35 minutes, they're always going to win. So that's the concept, the core concept of the blips. So a couple of units. I'm going to start flipping through the pages and tell you what I feel about these units. A Patriarch. My dear Lord, is he not an absolute Tyrannosaurus? He's the Patriarch that I've always wanted. He's the Brood Lord that I wish I had for my Tyranids. But I just don't find me putting him in a lot of lists. Not right now. The guy is an absolute beast. He is strength 6, toughness 5 with 6 wounds, 6 attacks. He gets to re-roll a wound because of his claws. They're neg 3, d3 damage. If you do roll a 6 with those monster rending claws, it is guaranteed 6 AP and 3 flat damage. He does have, he moves 8, can advance. The dude is a Demon Prince for 125 points. So one thing I want to talk about as a big bonus for anybody, for everybody out there, is that the Patriarch can know multiple psychic abilities now, right? So he gets to, he knows 2 powers from the discipline. So that is, he can only attempt and deny 1, but he knows 2, where in the index and even in Codex Tyranids, a Brood Lord and a Patriarch of old only knew 1. So there was no options. Either Smite or X, right? So that is a big bonus. Also, he can get a Familiar. So once a game, he can cast 2 psychic abilities, right? Really powerful. I like the Patriarch. There's also, I'm going to just take a couple seconds, and instead of necessarily waiting for combos later, I'm going to talk about combos as they come up. If you're playing a Patriarch, and if you are a Tyrannosaurus, and you say to yourself, I want a beat stick, and I want my Patriarch to be that. There's a cult creed specifically for you. I will touch on this now that when I refer to cult creeds, that is the regimental regiments that you can get. That is the Forge Worlds. That is the concept that GSC has. They have cult creeds. The Twisted Helix is where I will basically always put my Patriarch when I want him to be that guy, right? So Twisted Helix, they have access to a relic that's called the Elixir of something. It's amazing. You guys don't need to know the exact verbiage, or I'll look it up while I'm doing this, right? So this the Elixir of the Prime Specimen. Increase attacks, toughness, and wounds by 1. Attacks, toughness, wounds. So right now, he is toughness 6, 7 wounds, 7 base attacks. We're also going to pair him with the Warlord trait that says +1 attack, +1 strength. Biomorph adaption. Okay? So that means now he is +1 attack, +1 strength. So he is strength 7, 8 base attacks. Do you cast Might from Below on him because you really need him to be a Tyrannosaurus? Then he goes to strength 8, 9 attacks, because Might from Below says +1 strength, +1 attack. So we've never seen a model to this level, right, of all these buffs that GSC or NIDS have had access to. I'm really impressed. One of the things that I do love about him, Hordes, is something that GSC is going to do well. They get 20-man Brood Brother squads. They get 20-man Neophyte squads. They get 20-man Acolyte units. Those are the 3 troop choices that they have access to. This Patriarch being on the board says everybody within 6 inches, everybody not just GSC units, not just Genestealer cult units, because the book is going to be broken down into two different types. You have Genestealer cults, and then you have Brood Brothers. That's the guard guys. That's the Hobo Baggins 1, right? They're the ones with the least amount of gene seed in them. All the other morphs are the actual cults. Those guys, the Brood Brothers, don't get cult creeds. Neither do Genestealer or Patriarchs. Anybody with the Genestealer keyword, they have already surpassed the concept of the creed, right? So to put that in perspective, the cult creeds, they don't affect the bottom level hobos, the Brood Brothers and the infantry units, and the Genestealers and the Patriarchs, they've already surpassed this cult creedness. Is already built into their characteristics per se, right? So it's only really helping the Metamorphs in the center. So what I really like about it is he gives a +1 to hit bubble. He also makes everybody fearless. Now, if I'm playing a Horde army, there's a couple combos I can start talking about, right? I do like him because he just doesn't say Genestealer cult of his creed. This is everyone. So it doesn't matter if he is the only Twisted Helix in your army, he will still make everyone else around them. That could be Four-Armed Emperor, or that could be Rusted Claw or Bladed Cog. Any of them are still going to be fearless. There's a Warlord trait that's actually my single favorite. And it says that the Warlord gets to add 3 inches to all aura effects. Now, there's a couple characters I'm going to dive into that I'm making my Warlord just because. If the Patriarch is in your army, he must be the Warlord. Point blank. There's no options. He has to be. If he's taken in a Brood Brother detachment. No other Brood Brother or GSC model can be your Warlord. I guess if you took a NID detachment or something, you could get a Warlord out of there, but if not, he's here. So I do like, if you are playing the Horde style and you feel like you want to make sure your guys don't run away, you have a 9-inch bubble that says everyone is fearless. That can't be understated. So there's that. Really, really like this guy. 125 points. Damn steal. The Magus, he went up a couple points. He was he was 72 last in the index. He has a base of 80 now, and a familiar is going to give him another 12. So he's 92 points in every army that I ever play with him, which is everyone. One of my single favorite relics that exist for this book is the Crouchling. That allows you to know a third spell. The Crouchling says that it's the actual familiar is who's getting this, so you can't just take the Magus by himself. You do have to spend the extra 12 points. So let's read into this. The Crouchling, Patriarch or Magus only. With the familiar, you have to spend the 12 points. The Crouchling replaces one of the model's familiars. The Crouchling follows all normal rules, aka you get to cast once a game a second ability. Whilst the Crouchling is alive, the Patriarch or Magus, with can add 1 additional power, right? So he knows 3 spells. The Magus knows 2. This Crouchling knows a 3rd spell. My favorite part, when casting from this discipline, add 1 to any psychic test when attempting to cast. How huge is that? So now, some of the single best psychic abilities in I would say in existence are going to come out of this book. I'm sure some of the chaos players out there that are listening to this say, no, we have some. So you get a +1 to cast and know a 3rd spell. I love options. I love a +1 to cast. Almost every spell is going to go off on a 7. Now almost every spell goes off on an easy 6 or an easy 5. So without further ado, I don't want to leave any cliffhanger. Let's read what the hell the psychic abilities are going to start looking like. While I'm finding the page here, one of my favorites is Might from Below, +1 strength, +1 attack. That on a 20-man unit of Acolytes, that on a 10-man unit of Metamorphs that are already base strength 4. This spell says you're strength 5. Is there an Acolyte ward around that I'm going to talk about in a little bit to give plus another +1? Now they're base strength 6. Very powerful. So, Mass Hypnosis. One of the go-to always, I really enjoy spells. Warp Charge 7. not for the crouchling. It's a 6. If manifested, a unit within 18 inches visible to the psyker until the start of the psychic phase. They cannot overwatch. They also swing last in combat and take a -1 to hit. Are you kidding me? It's like the 3 best things that I want to have happen. My charging army gets to go first. I'm going to cast this on you even if I didn't charge. Right? But like, so my army that wants to charge you to get dug in combat, I can now cast Massive Gnosis and you don't take it. You can't overwatch me. Love. Now, once it's your coming up turn, I swing, right? And you go last. And then now it's the following turn. It still hadn't got back to my psychic phase. You go into rotation of who activates. You activate last on me. You're still Massive Ghost. You're -1 to hit, shooting, and in close combat. That going off on a 6 is unbelievable. Mind Control, the spell that will always get you out of trouble. The spell that I can't justify when I only know 2. I can't justify having Mind Control in my arsenal. I have to have Massive Gnosis, and I have to have Might from Below. Those are a must. But now, because I have this Psyker who has the Crouchling that gets me a 3rd spell, if I find myself that I need to do this, maybe the game isn't going my way, I get to cast Mind Control. Get me out of a rut. How, might you say? Warp Charge 7, thanks Crouchling, goes off on a 6. If manifested, the Psyker pick an enemy unit within 12 inches. The Psyker rolls 3d6. If you roll equal to or over the leadership characteristics of the model, he's yours. You get to take him over. You get to shoot, or you get to immediately shoot another enemy unit of your choice, or make a single close combat attack against it. Wow. So, true story. I just played a game yesterday. Took over a Castellan. Killed 6 Bulgren. I needed it. My turn 2, I came in, I cast Might from Below, I cast Massive Gnosis. That wasn't my G plan to take over the Castellan because I wanted to kill it. The Bulgren stonewalled some stuff. I failed a charge. Guess what? Got this in my back pocket. I'm going to try to stick this 6 real quick. Got you next turn, right? Rolled over your leadership. Now the Castellan's mine, just killed the Bulgren. So powerful of a spell. Sonic Blast, leadership value of 5. If manifested, it's an 18-inch. Roll 2d6. If it's less than the highest leadership in the unit, 1 mortal wound. Otherwise, it's D3 mortal wounds. I'll never take that because I can do other powerful things. Mental Onslaught. This is something that immediately got addressed. But it's a warp charge value of 6 if manifested by a unit within 18 inches of the Psyker, visible that is. Each player then rolls a d6 and adds their leadership. If the score is higher, the enemy model suffers 1 mortal wound. Let me tell you about another true story. When this book dropped, we immediately allowed it at the Beats Lab, and we had a tournament 3 days later. My man Dean from the Raleigh-Durham area, if anybody is familiar with that area. My man Dean runs this and gets it off all 3 games. The 3rd game, he got it off uber-wise and was able to, his Psyker was at a leadership value of 13, I believe, and he dropped the Castellan's value by 2, I think with an Abdominate and something else. There's all kind of buffs and auras and things around within GSC itself. And so a full-up Castellan took 28 wounds. Dean would have had to roll a 1, and the opponent would have had to roll a 6. And he just for free did 28 wounds till it was dead. So powerful. So very powerful. Psychic Stimulus. So it's so funny, Mental Onslaught. I immediately thought that this was the onslaught of Tyranids that allowed you to advance and charge. If you couldn't already, allow you to fall back and still charge. Excuse me, maybe not fall back. But now they changed it up. They still got Onslaught as a psychic ability, but it's not the same as the new one. Psychic Stimulus, warp charge value of 6. Select a friendly unit at the start of the next until the start of the next psychic phase. That unit can charge even if it advanced, though not if it fell back. There we go. And they always fight first in combat, even if they didn't charge. So let's talk about this. This is an amazing spell. In the double, triple magus list, where you go double or triple battalions, detachments per se, this spell is like always in the arsenal. Because now I got a combo, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a massive nose, fight last, -1 to hit, no overwatch. Then I'm going to go ahead and cast Psychic Stimulus. So I even have another unit that is going to attack before other individuals, right? Like there's so many combos that are out there. And then we have Might from Below. So really, really solid. All these characters are T3. These next couple sets, right? So the Magus, the Primus, the Acolyte Wards, the entire book basically rests as T3. Also, it's good information to know, if you guys didn't already, you can only ever have a character once out of the 11 million characters that they have access to in the Elite choices, HQ choices, all these. You can only ever play a character once per detachment. Tau, how do you feel about it now? You're a little cold start commander. You could have multiple everybody else's, but only one commander. Now, GSC, you can quit your bitching, because now GSC says only one of every one of their characters. The Elite choices, the Assassins, anything else. No duplicates per detachment. Primus. Wow, did the Primus get a buff? He simultaneously took a major hit because he was probably the linchpin of GSC units of old, because his stratagem, when he used it in the GSC of old, allowed you to roll 3d6 with the stratagem, was re-rollable to get your fishing for your 5 or 6 to basically perfect ambush. Now the Primus does a whole nother set of cool things. He still gives you a +1 to hit in the fight phase of all units within 6 inches. Also, we finally get a reroll to wound ability. When the Primus is set up on the board, pick an enemy unit. So that means if you have 3 Primuses, you can pick 3 different enemy units for the rest of the game, or until that model dies. Hopefully it does for any GSC players out there. If you are within 6 inches of your Primus, you can reroll 1s to wound against that unit. Let me tell you why it's so important. There's a unit that I'm getting ready to talk about that is going to hit on 2s because of the Primus. It's going to reroll 1s because it has a banner inside the unit. And then it's going to wound you on 2s because it has a +1 to wound strat and it's strength 6 or strength 10 with its rock saws. And then it's going to reroll 1s to wound. Pretty damn powerful. Heard it here first. Acolyte Ward. Wow. There's so many MVPs in this book. Let me tell you about this 53-point model. Vigilus Detachment really took this guy to the big leagues. So the Acolyte Ward, 53 points. He's going to take a banner. He's the one that already has got your banner, right? Each time a Cult Infantry or Biker within 6 inches, other than Aberrants, lose a wound, you get a 6-up, feel no pain. You also get to reroll morale tests within 6 inches. You also get to reroll 1s of wound, your feel no pains of 1 if the Aberrants are around. So Aberrants don't get an additional 6-up feel no pain. They just get to reroll 1s. So we already have 3 auras that are in effect. Let's go ahead and give him the relic. The name of this relic banner, I'm grabbing this for you here, is Icon of Cult Ascendant, +1 strength characteristic to the infantry or bike units within 6 inches. Pretty damn good. +1 strength. These acolytes, these anything are base strength 4. Now they're base strength 5. Let's just go ahead and dabble into Vigilus. Thank you very much. -1 CP for that detachment. -1 CP because I'm going to take a Warlord trait. This hobo is going to take it. He says from the Vigilus detachment, within 6 inches bubble of your Warlord coming out of this book. For anybody who doesn't know, out of those Vigilus detachments, it's 1 CP to take on the stratagem, to take on the Specialist detachment. It's an additional CP if you want to make a Warlord, give a Warlord trait to a non-Warlord of your army. You can do that for -1 CP. It's in the very beginning of the stratagems. Very beginning of the Vigilus. The Warlord traits in there can be given, so you can have 2 Warlord traded individuals in your army, but only 1 Warlord. So this Acolyte Lord is exactly that. That 6-inch aura says reroll advance, reroll charge rolls. Hold the damn phone. So you're right, 53 points. Reroll advances, reroll charge rolls, +1 strength, 6 up, feel no pain, reroll morale. Holy sh! Amazing. Absolutely unbelievable. The Abominant. Man, him and the Patriarch are fully painted, sitting on my shelves, like staring at each other like, I wonder when Coach is going to put us in the game. These guys are so amazing, and I love them. I just can't find them in my list right now because I'm having so many other funds with other things besides the Dominance and the Aberrant. He is a true beat stick. He did take a little bit of a nerf. He is only Ballistic Skill or Weapon Skill 3, not Weapon Skill 2 like it was. So, Strength 6, Toughness 5, 5 wounds, 3 base attacks. He has a badass hammer, Siege, the power Sledgehammer. So he'll be Strength 10, Strength 12, -3, D6 damage. And thank you very much for getting the damage characteristics. If you roll a 1 or a 2, it's always counted as a 3. Base 3 flat damage with the potential of 4, 5, 6 if you straight roll it. So this guy also says that the Chosen One, each time you roll a hit, an unmodified roll of a 6 for himself or any aberrants within 6 inches, it's 2 hits scored. So that's not additional hits. Each 6 to hit is 2 hits. That's massive. There's a big difference. Hope everybody understands and reads the fine print in all their books, because some things just say you get an additional hit. That means you still have to roll to hit. This says scores 2 hits. Okay. At the start of each phase, go ahead, get free D3 wounds back. And then he also says, when inflicting damage to this model, reduce the damage by 1. In addition, each time you roll, you get a 5-up feel no pain. And then if you're around, the icon words, you get a reroll of 1s to that. So it's a 5-up feel no pain, -1 damage, 6s are extra hits. Only downfall is he has 3 base attacks. Now, we can boost those attacks. We can give this guy really good saves. We can give this guy some other things, but I don't know. There's so many other beat sticks. I can't wait till I play him. Vigilus did hook us up too. He's got a hammer that's not -1 because this hammer is -1 to hit. So he's hitting down 4s. The Vigilus attachment says their relic out of that says the Anointed Throng. That relic says don't take the -1 hit. Pretty huge, going back to hitting on 3s. So, really like them, especially if you're going to run Aberrant. You got to have this guy. It's just a guarantee you have to have him. Single lone survivor, amazing guy, as well as the Jackal Alphas. He's the sniper on a bike. Who knew? Like a dirt bike with a sniper rifle on it. -1 to hit. Thank you for giving these guys that. Don't make them so tough as like a Space Marine. Don't make them all these things, but you still got to make them worth playable. And a toughness 4 bike with a shit save and everything else isn't playable. The Jackass Alphas has 5 wounds, toughness 4. Really good. -1 to hit. That stat line right there is the most durable model in my army. Blitz skill 2 with a sniper rifle. His sniper rifle is a base strength of 4, -2 D3 damage. You can always shoot characters, and on the roll of a 6, it's a mortal wound to wound. In the shooting phase, this is really good. We have another Bubbles. In the shooting phase, he nominates a unit within 36 inches of the Alphas, any Colt model within 6 inches of him. Now, if they're a bike unit, so hobo baggins left and right, little infantry guys, those guys are getting 6 inch. They got to be close. But if you're running bikes, then you can be within 12 inches, 24-inch radius. He just says give +1 to hit. So that's really solid. He can double down and use it himself maybe if he needs. If there's minuses, he can counteract some of that stuff. But yeah, making bikes, making other stuff that's hitting on threes, or hitting on fours. Now they hit on threes. Math goes up immensely. You're going to hit 66% of the time instead of 50% of the time. Huge, huge difference. Huge. Favorite unit in the book, right here. Second favorite unit in the book, because I can't do that to my main man. But my favorite infantry unit there is the Acolyte Hybrids. So I'm going to spend a couple minutes stuck on this. I'm doing pretty good on time, about 30 minutes in, about halfway through. So this unit is my favorite. They're only toughness 3, the 5-up safe. They're guardsmen. Base strength 4. They all have rending claws. They all have extra attacks. They have 2 base attacks, rending claws, and then they all have cultist knives, so they get +1 attack. So each one of these hobos is throwing 3 dice. Weapon skill 3. So Primus around their weapon skill 2. For 10-point upgrade, you can give these guys a banner, icon banner. Reroll 1s to hit. This unit can get up to 20 models. For every 5 models, you can have 2 heavy weapons. My favorite heavy weapon for 10 points is a rock saw. ×2 strength, -4 AP, 2 flat damage. It's a power fist that everybody wished they had. And you also, it's not a mistake. I didn't fumble my words. These aren't -1 to hit. Rock saw is not. So that's right. You heard it here. We're all doing math together as I'm speaking out loud. 20 models, 8 of those having rock saws. That's 16 rock saw attacks. Might from Below is my favorite psychic ability. I use it on this unit. Thank you, Crouchling. Goes off on a 6. That now is 24 rock saw attacks. That's strength 9. Thank you, Vigilist Attachment. Excuse me, strength 10 because I'm within my range of my icon ward. And Might from Below, so I'm strength 10. Strength 8 +1 +1. 24 attacks, hitting on 2s, reroll 1s. Thank you, Vigilist Attachment. If I needed it, if you're toughness 8, if I'm wounding you on 3s, Vigilist Attachment says +1 to wound. Thank you, Primus, because I'm around you. And when you were deployed on the board, you said, here, reroll 1s to wound. When you kill this big-ass unit, you need to use these 24 rock saw attacks against. So you heard it here. Hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s, wounding on 2s, reroll 1s with 24 attacks. -4 AP, 2 flat damage. Matt says a 1 rerolled into a 1 is a 1 in 36 chance. So all 24 hit. We're going to roll over those 24 and add 12 more. So it's going to be 23 wounds. We're going to say that eventually you rolled a 1 into a 1 out of the 48 total dice that you rolled. 23 wounds that you have to save against. -4, 2 flat damage. Any knight alive just can't save against -4. Unless it's the Gallant who potentially has a 6-up save. Did you give him a 4 invulnerable? Or a 5 invulnerable? Did you rotate it to a 4? Did we vect you because we have the plan generations in the making, which is the Vex strat? We can shut off stratagems. I don't know if I need to say anything else, if we can just leave it here. A 20-man unit with 8 rock saws with a banner, the icon inside of it, is 230 points. And let alone, ladies and gentlemen, the other 12 models in the unit. You heard it here right. That's right. They're hitting on 2s with 3 base attack rending claws. The 4th attack is a chainsaw, basically. But you heard it here also. They're hitting on 2s, reroll 1s. They're base strength 6, rerolling 1s to wound with a +1 to wound. They're wounding anything, any infantry in the game on a 2 anyway, with an additional 36 rending claw attacks. Wow. If these guys connect, it's gone. I don't care what it is. The downfall and where it comes full circle, why it's okay, is because at the end of the day, they're a toughness 3 guardsman. Toughness 3 guardsman. If you can't tell, I'm really excited about this unit. The Neophyte Hybrids, don't need to talk about them. You can get 20-man big. They have heavy weapons. They have mining lasers. They have all kind of other stuff. Can't get mortars like they could before. Still really cool. I like them for anybody who is a shooty army, so I have to spend some time on it. Let's talk about a couple hive fleets, or excuse me, some different creeds that we could use with. Now, the Acolytes and just about everything that I'm playing, 100% is the Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor, because their creed says when they show up, you get +1 to advance, +1 to charge. Maybe not advance, excuse me. Let's check real quick. We're going to go to that page because I want to tell you about if you are a neophyte guy. If you say, hey, Juice, I really like playing a bunch of models and I have a ridiculous amount of neophytes. Cool, I'm going to tell you which one to go. Add 1 to the advance and charge rolls, right? So for the Four-Armed Emperor, add 1 to the advance and charge rolls. I love it. Won't give it up. So Hive Cults is one that I really like for neophytes and things like that. It's because their relic, let's look it up. Their creed says it's if a unit fails a morale test, have the number of models rounding up that flee. It's really good. In addition, units with this creed can still shoot in the turn in which they fell back. Let's subtract 1 from their rolls. I don't mind that at all. Okay, so we go there, and their relic, their specific relic, says reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made with ranged weapons while they're within 6 inches of your warlord. Also, if we want, we can pair this with the Jackal Alphas, excuse me, giving us +1 hit. So now we're hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s, 20-man units. For 10 neophytes to get 2 mining lasers, the mining lasers are 24-inch range, strength 9, -3, d6 damage. You get 2 of those for every 10 models. So for a base 10-man unit, you get 2 mining lasers. That's 74 points. They can come in out of reserves. They can do things. +1 to hit and rerolling 1s. You spam that times 10. Okay, now you have 100 neophytes on the board. That is 20 mining lasers hitting on 3s, reroll 1s. That's not bad for 740 points. No one could tell me that was bad. Let's go ahead and say Patriarch's my warlord. Now everybody's fearless, right? Now, for anybody who says warlord trait, Juice, you just said the Patriarch, he's going to say fearless, and then all of a sudden this is your mind trait. Well, I'm going to go ahead and nip this in the bud, because this is going to come up a couple more times. One of the amazing stratagems that we have access to is the Brood Coven. As long as the Patriarch is your warlord, because he has to be. Patriarch is your warlord. 1 CP. Select up to 1 Magus and up to 1 Primus from your army. Generate a warlord trait. 1 CP. 2 free warlord traits. Building some combos, I see. I also don't mind the Rusted Claw for the neophytes as well. The reason why is because Cult Creed models add 1 to the results, or add 1 to the results if the weapon saving throw. Excuse me, I skipped the first sentence. When making saving throws, excluding invulnerable saves. For a model with this Cult Creed, add 1 to the results if the weapon used has an armor penetration value of 0 or 1. So let's put this in perspective. I'm playing a Horde army. I've got my 100 Rusted Claw neophytes who benefit from Cult Creeds. And I'm going up against the dreaded Astra Militarum, Wyvern, Vigilus Detachment, Emperor's Wrath, Mortar army, right? I spend 2 CP, give all my guys cover. And then all those Mortars and Wyverns, I'm getting +1 in my armor save again. So now every one of those 100 models has a 3-up armor save. Heard it here first. That's what we're doing. We're building combos. Making ship happen. Brood Brother Infantry Squad. Only thing to note to say is they do not get Cult Creeds. They're an amazing, cheap 40-point troop choice. 0 to 20. 0 to 20. Astra Militarum can't do it. GSC can. Take an additional 10 Brood Brothers. And guess what? They're not weapon skill 5 like conscripts are. They're not blitz skill 5 like conscripts are. Blitz skill 4. 20 of them. Give me 2 mortars. I enjoy it. Give me a mortar. I like it, right? Favorite sleeper unit here. The Metamorphs. The Metamorph hybrids. So I don't like a lot of their weapons. In my opinion, they're nothing more. Again, they're a toughness 3 model. Toughness 3, 5-up save. Nothing special. 1 wound. They have 3 base attacks each. The leader has 4. So that's 1 more than the cultists. Excuse me, not the cultists. The acolytes, which is my favorite unit. They can still have a icon to get reroll 1s. Cool. This unit can only go 10 big. One of the favorite ways that I like running is, shout out Austin Wingfield, clued me in on this to it as well. A Metamorph talent, you come with 1, and then you have a second weapon. Or excuse me, everybody basically has 3 weapons because they have 1,000,000 arms. For 1 point, you can get rid of your Rending Claw that you come with. You have the last pistol, or an auto pistol, the Talon, and then a Rending Claw. The Talon special rule. Use your strength, 0 AP, 1 damage. Each time the bearer attacks, it makes 1 additional attack with this weapon. Add 1 to the hit rolls for this weapon. Hold the phone. Did you just tell me that I have a built-in Primus to clear screens? So I'm already hitting on 2s now, and for 10 points I'm re-rolling 1s. You perked my attention. Now I'm here now. Plus 1 attack. So they're all base 4 attacks. And you're telling me I can trade my Rending Claw in for another one? So every Metamorph is base 5 attacks, and the leader is 6. Hitting on 2s, reroll 1s, base strength 4. They're my clean, screen killers. I can give them plus 1 attack, plus 1 strength for Might from Below. I can give them plus 1 strength for my Acolyte Ward. This 10-man unit maxed out with all the buffs can get 61 attacks, hitting on 2s, reroll 1s, with strength 6. Are you kidding me? Matt says that's 33 dead orcs. Unbelievable. Let's do the math. For some reason, I almost want to say it's just a few more than that. 51 plus 10 because of neophytes. We're just going to say that it's 59 hits. And then 87% of that, 51, they're going to get 66%. Yes, 44 dead orcs if they're just getting a 6-up save. Or guardsmen. Or even more than that if they're Gretchen. Really good. That 10-man unit, 120 points. 120 points. 10 guys, 51 base attacks. No help. Nobody's help. For anybody that juices just keep saying combos with the same things. Like, first off, we have multiple things to do. Let's just say we don't give them anything. 51 attacks, hitting on 2s, reroll 1s. Strength 4. Aberrants. Probably the most toughest unit in the game, in the game out of this book. Aberrants, movement 6, weapon skill 3, strength 5, toughness 4, 2 wounds. They do have the 5-up feel no pain. They have a 5-up save. There's a stratagem that will allow you to get plus 1 to your feel no pain. So you're going to have a 4-up feel no pain, re-rolling 1s if you're around the icon. I mean, that's damn good, right? Are they Rusted Cog? Or excuse me, Rusted Claw? Are they getting plus 1 to their save because you're hitting them with just no AP weapons, right? So they could have a 4-up. Really durable. There are so many combos I don't want to talk about even with this unit if everybody's doing it. Give me the Bladed Cog stratagem with them. Make them Bladed Cog. Give it to me. That stratagem says that for every roll of a 6, you get an extra hit. Every roll of a 5 against Imperium, you get an extra hit. Every roll of a 4+ against AdMech, you get an extra hit. So 6 is everybody. If you're going against Imperium, goes off on a 5. If you're going against AdMech, specifically goes off on a 4. 2 base attacks. I'm going to try to do this as clean as possible. Combo number 7, engage from this book. I'm going to read you what a power pick does. They all have base 2 attacks. Each time a model with a rending claw makes an attack with this weapon, make one additional attack with the rending claw. The Aberrants have the power pick because it's not a two-handed weapon. They have the power pick, and then they have rending claws. Okay? Math engaged. So if you're running the Aberrants, you're running a 9-man, 10-man unit, you're going to cast Might from Below on it. It's like the go-to psychic ability. So now that's 2 base attacks from the pick, means there's 2 rending claw attacks. Okay. Might from Below, +1 strength, +1 attack. Power pick automatically says an additional attack from my rending claw. Okay, cool. Bladed Cog, Stratagem. I'm rolling a 6 to hit with these. Power picks. I have to roll 2 6s. I roll a 6. Power picks. Cool. Got 2 extra hits. You get 2 extra rending claw attacks. Do you see what I'm saying here? 1 model, 10 attacks. Right? I mean, again, Aberrants, 10-man unit. If all of them just have the power picks, that's 20 attacks. That's 20 power pick attacks. That's 20 rending claw attacks. Unfreaking believable. Really powerful. These guys can just mow through stuff. Mow through stuff. Pure Strain Genestealers. If there's 10 or more models, you get +1 attack. They're the exact as they've always been. 15 points. Advance and charge. 5 up, feel no pain. They're still, 5 up, vulnerable. 3 base attacks. Really good. Really solid. Can't say anything bad about them. They're still a go-to unit. I'm going to spend... still got a lot to go through. Time to beast through it. Here we go. Clamavis. Wow. Oh, man. I'm getting into my love here. Clamavis, they're all bullshit. Same thing. Strength, toughness 3, 4 wounds, 3 attacks. Proclamator. Hailer. I don't know. You know I'm not that great at reading, guys. Add 1 to the leadership characteristics of all cult units within 6 inches. In addition, add 1 to advance and charge rolls for within the same cult within 6 inches. What did you say? What did you say, Juice? +1 advance rolls? +1 charge rolls? Are you also, Juice, didn't you say you're 4-armed Emperor? That's given you when you come in +1 advance, +1 charge. So does that mean that your models are at +2 charge, +2 advance? Juice, did you also say that there's an icon? Your icon from Vigilus that allows you to reroll advanced charge rolls? So you're telling me these 20-man Roxall units are needing 7s out of Deep Strike rerollable? Combo number 5 for the day. He also has one of the best abilities I just saw where some of the Space Marines coming out here in a little bit, the Infiltrators, I believe is what it's called. They have the same thing. Enemies cannot be set up within 12 inches of this model via reserves, reinforcements. Pretty powerful. I have a 12-inch no-fly zone. Now, that means you can't be set up within 12 inches. You can be set up at 12.1, and then for any GSC players out there, realize that you can then perfect ambush. Because perfect ambush, as the stratagem, perfect ambush is 3 CP. After the unit has come in via reserves and is set up on the board, it is allowed to move D6 extra inches. In parentheses, this move will be allowed, even though in the main rule book, it doesn't say that you can move after this. This overrides that specifically, or you can shoot again. So, in the movement phase, you can shoot in the movement phase. You heard that. So, Clamavis, very powerful. The Locust, don't even want to talk about him. He does a lot of cool things. He's just not my bag. If anybody does really like the Locust, I can't get behind him. Help me out. Tell me what I'm missing. He has a lot of words here. I don't believe they're any good. Too many good things I want to talk about, and I'm going already 50 minutes strong. Sanctus, hell of a sniper. Hell of a sniper. Hitting on 2s. His sniper rifle is strength 4, -1 D3 damage. On the roll of a 6 to mortal wounds, if you hit a psyker, if the psyker loses any wounds as a result of the attack from this weapon at all, if it failed its save and takes D3 mortal wounds or D3 wounds, this kicks in. If I just rolled the 6 and you made the save, so you take just a mortal wound, boom, you take perils. Psychers, perilsing. One of the greatest relics that there are for this guy, right, or the Jackal Alphas, is the Gift from Beyond. Alphas, snipers, or the silencer sniper rifle. That is the 2 characters that have it. Get to add +2 to the wound roll. Ladies and gentlemen, that means that this strength 4, wounding on 2, +2 to wound. So if you're shooting a weird boy, that's toughness 4, 2 or 3 wounds. It's going to hit on 2s, and it's going to wound on a 2. And that means the mortal wound that happens on a 6 now happens on a 4. And do you know what happens when a psyker dies from a perils? So that means, and most weird boys only have a 5-up KFF save or a 6-up save. So either you're going to get no save or you're going to get a 5-up. You're going to take the D3 damage, and then you're going to perils to take D3 damage. And when you die from the perils, every one of your boys or characters standing within 6 inches is also going to take D3 mortal wounds. Boom. Also, cool note for this guy, you don't get any cover saves made by this guy. He ignores cover. While he is in cover, he gets +2 to his save. Lastly, the perfect ambush special rule, meaning when you show up, you can either shoot in the movement phase or get D6 extra movement. This guy costs 0. It doesn't cost anything. Favorite model in the history of ever, Jesse James, the Killer Morph. You're going to see him at a table near you. He has 3 Liberator auto pistols. Strength 4, -1, 2 flat damage. He can shoot characters, right? When he shoots his pistols, so that's 6 shots. He's got 3 arms. He's got 3 pistols. He shoots 6 shots. And he hits on 2s. When he shoots these shots, every hit he gets to roll an additional hit. 6 shots can convert very easily into 11 or 12 hits, 10 to 12 hits. Strength 4, -1, 2 flat damage. Let me tell you something about another little relic gem that is always taken in my army for the most part. That is the Oppressor's Bane. 3 shots from the pistol, not 2. So now Jesse James has got 7 total. 4 from the Liberator auto pistol and 1 from the Oppressor's Bane. 3 now. Strength 4, -2, not -1, -2, 2 flat damage. Get to re-roll to wound when targeting characters. So damn powerful. -2, 2 damage when targeting characters. If you perfect ambush with this fool, with Jesse pops up in the movement phase, shoots 10. In the shooting phase, shoots another 10. I'm saying 10 because with re-rolling 1s and things like that, you're going to get 10 or 11 hits. This dude is going to shoot 22, 24 pistol shots in a single turn. Jesse James is so fun to play against. Or, excuse me, play with. I'm sure he's not fun to play against. Favorite model in this whole book, Jesse James. So we've got that. Blowing through it now. The Nexus, really cool for 50 points. I can't believe I haven't been talking about points. The Sanctus and the Kellermorph are both 60 points each. Steals. The Nexus, 50. Steel. The Clamavis, 55 points. Steel. Acolyte War, we talked about, 53 points. Unbelievable. Nexus. You get to basically move a blip, one blip, anywhere in your deployment zone. No more than 12 inches from an enemy. So that's pretty cool. You know, if maybe you just want to move 1, you don't have to use the CP. Furthermore, each time either you or your player, your opponent, spends a command point on a stratagem whilst with the Nexus is alive on the battlefield, if the command points you spent, there is at least 1 Primus and 1 Nexus on the battlefield, add 1 to the roll. So D6, you always get to roll on the roll of a 6. When I spend 1 or you spend 1, I get it back. If him and a Primus are on the board, when I use 1, I get it back on a 5. If the Clamavis and him is on the board, when you spend 1, I get it back on a 5. He's like an auto include. Free CP generator. I'm taking battalions or brigades, so I need this elite choice slot filled anyway. 50 points. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Give it to me. The Mad Doc Scientist, the Biogus. If you're running Abdominance and Aberrant, he gets on the beginning, at the end of each one of your movement phases, at the end of any of your movement phase, you can roll on this chart. There's a D3, +1 strength, +1 attack, +1 toughness. He's a cheap character, under 40 points, I believe. So if you're running them, there's no reason not to just for free take one of these. And it's not like you can do this one per unit. It is one of them on turn 1 at the end of the movement phase. You can do it. At the end of movement phase 2, you can do a second unit, but you can't do the same unit more than once. The Ridge Runners. My favorite way to run these, that is the cool jet bikes. That's the cool new buggy that they have. I like a heavy mortar. And I like the ignore cover, and the ignore cover is the survey auger. Units do not benefit cover with this, and if I'm not mistaken, that hobo comes in at 63 points. Might be off just for a few, but I feel like 63 sounds good. That's a heavy mortar, D6, strength 5, -1, 1 damage, 48-inch range. Not bad. Toughness 5, 8 wounds. Hitting on 4s, that doesn't make me happy. But again, the Jackal Alphas is out there. He's going to give you +1 to hit if you're shooting at that same target. So he also has the ability to let a bike unit, if you go the flare launcher, that is 10-point upgrade, so I don't really care for it. But once a battle, you can get a friendly cult unit biker within 6 inches. You can make them basically auto move an additional 6 inches. Not bad. Not bad. I don't mind that 63 points for that. You can also have the mining lasers. Those get into the 83 points, 88 points, stuff like that. The Alton Jackals. The Adelan Jackals. Lord have mercy. It's been a long couple weeks. This unit is the dirt bikes from hell, I believe. We talk about these at the Beats Lab Gaming there at our local store. The reason why a lot of us like them is because these dirt bikes look like Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of bikes instead of futuristic, ridiculous looking bikes. So one of my favorite things to do with this unit, it can get to 15-man big, 12 regular Jackals, and then 3 of them being quads. For every 4 bikes that you bring, you can bring the quad. So it's basically, the box that you buy for 4 Jackals and the quad. That's how the breakdowns are. They did FAQ that you can add up to 4 additional. It's not 4 or 8. It's up to. So you can have 5 or 6-man bike unit. They all can take demo charges. Right? That's one of the main tricks I'm seeing out of these. Every one of these guys gets 2 weapons. They all come with the auto pistol. They also can have shotgun as one of their main shooting weapons, a plethora of close combat attacks, grenade launcher, 2 of them, up to 2 in your total unit can have, and then everybody can have a demo charge. The demo charges are unbelievable. Give me Rusted Claw. Give me 10 of these guys. My favorite configuration right now is 10 of them with 2 quads with heavy flamers. The unit points out to be 208 points, and I run 10 of them with 10 demo charges each. My Death Blossom attack is Rusted Claw. Pop up 3 inches away from you from lurking in the shadows. Perfect ambush them. Then I pop the strat, throw 10 grenades, pop the strat, +1 to hit, +1 to wound with grenade weapons. 7 CP in the movement phase. I get to throw 5 demo charges. The strat specifically says that you can throw 10 grenades, 5 of which being demo charges. I throw 5 demo charges one way. D6, strength 8, -3, D3 damage. Shots going one way, +1 to hit, +1 to wound because of the strap. I throw 5 regular frag grenades another way, shoot 2 heavy flamers and 4 shotgun shots. That's in the movement phase. And in the shooting phase, I can't move. In the shooting phase, I'm going to do it again. If I threw 5 demo charges from these 5 here, I'm now going to throw 5 regular, and then I'm going to throw 5 demo charges here. Once per game use. It's really powerful, really good. The unit I'm so in love with it, but it's simultaneously I'm finding it is a glass hammer. If you position wrong, you've wasted CP and you're never going to get them back, and they're not going to get what you want. It is such a huge CP investment that I'm almost telling people now it's not even worth it. But it's really cool. It's combos. That's what I like doing. When I pick up a book, the first thing I want to do is break down and find all the combos. I want to find them all individual. I want to play with them individually over and over again. And then what I do is I build lists to put all the combos in the best configuration possible. So there's another one. So after we've got the bikes down, we have armored sentinels, scout sentinels we don't need to talk about. They also have Leman Russes. Fun fact, Brood Brother heavy weapon squads. So within this book, you can get 9 mortars. You can also ally with GSC and get 9 more mortars in heavy weapons teams. So that's 18 mortars. If you like mortars, that's what you're just going to do. You're going to take a battalion or a detachment, and you're going to go and take a Supreme Command or a Spearhead detachment, take a company commander, 9 mortars. Now you have 18. Rock grinders are cool, a little too expensive still. I do like the fact that they can hold individuals, get your drops low if you wanted to do that. It can fit up to 6 models. They have a cool stratagem where you can automatically detonate a vehicle, so it's doing mortal wounds, so I always like that. Chimeras and stuff. So okay, so just finishing up with that right at the hour mark. Some things that I didn't hit on that I'm going to go in last couple minutes talking about stratagems. So, some stratagems that I always am finding myself using: lying in wait, 2 CP, show up anywhere on the battlefield within 3 inches of your enemy. So powerful. We've described that. Return to the shadows still exist. Infantry or bike unit, as long as they're outside of 3 inches from an enemy model, you can return to the shadows to come back next turn. Furthermore, for any idiots who think, as per it's written, that you can't return to shadows on turn 3, that's a lie. You can. In the main rule book says that your reinforcements have to be on the table by turn 3 or they're considered dead. Guess what happens when you return to the shadows? You've already been on the board. So you have been on the board since before turn 3. You just left and you're coming right back. The stratagem also says that you have to be at the end of your next movement phase, you're set back up again anywhere, right? So you don't get to leave on turn 4 and not come back till turn 6. You have to come back the very next turn. Really powerful. Perfect ambush, we've already talked about, 3 CP. Cult reinforcements, I really like this. For 1 CP, gain D3 slain models of a unit, right, within that same troop unit. So the 20-man acolyte units that I like running, I'll spend CP to keep them alive, or I've got a patriarch, or I've got whatever around, right? Boom, did I start losing rock sauce? Regain D6 of them. Maybe bring my acolyte ward back. It's really good. I like it. We also have the Brood Coven that we talked about. Lurk in the Shadows is an MVP at the start of your opponent's shooting phase. Select a Genestealer Cult infantry unit from your army that is wholly within a terrain feature. Until the end of the phase, enemy models can only shoot that unit if it is the closest invisible. Wow. How powerful is that? Let that sink in. I'm in a ruin. 20 guys, 5 guys, it doesn't matter. You can't shoot me unless I'm the closest. Really good. Wow. Implications everywhere. D6, or excuse me, 1 CP, heal D3 wounds. Plan generations in the making. That is the Vex strat. Don't need to say anymore. 2 up, you deny someone's stratagem on the roll of a 1. Nothing happens. You still lose CP. On the roll of a 6, your opponent still loses CP and their stratagem is gone. They FAQ'd it to where it's only once a game. They said that they didn't mess with the CP cost, where the Vex strat can still be done multiple times in a game, but there's this 4 CP. Let me tell you, for the love of God, I wish that it wasn't once a game and it was on 4 CP. I would still be vecting 2 or 3. I would still be doing plans generation in the making. 2 or 3 times potentially. That means I'm going to win the game. So yeah, that's basically some of the rundowns of that. The psychic abilities we went through. Warlord traits, some of my favorites is the Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor. I really enjoy that. Give me a D3 extra command points and a free reroll. I do enjoy Alien Majesty, which is +3 to my Warlord's aura effects. And then lastly, like we talked about, I like the Biomorph Adaptation, +1 strength, +1 attack. So just going over here to make sure I do my due diligence and tell everybody for relics. Yep, pretty much touched on all that. There it is. Codex breakdown. I have some more videos coming up. If you guys haven't already, you're obviously watching this. You're a veteran of the Long War. We really appreciate everything. You've heard me talk about this on the podcast a couple times. We also have some battle reports and some guerrilla battle reports and some specific tactics videos over on Battle Brothers / Patreon / Battle Brother, where Sean and I break down a lot of things. But it is going to be GSC week. I'm putting up about 5 videos all about them. So make sure you guys head on over there and check out all the cool content. And as always, longwarswag.com, coolest shirts ever. If we haven't already, I'm going to see you at Adepticon. It's only a couple weeks away. Thanks, everybody.